friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do the Try a Chapter tag with an author that I have never read from before, Chevy Stevens. I got this recommendation and I thought of this idea on the Rex by the Bottle live show that I do with my friends Jacqueline and Jessie, and you guys kept saying, read Chevy Stevens, read Chevy Stevens. And ever since that live show, I've literally seen their books everywhere. They have a new book coming out in August, and I was like, you know what? I really do need to try this author out. So I checked out some books from my library. I checked out all of their books from the library. I could do a try a chapter tag with all of these. So I'm not going to read the synopsis, maybe like the top little portion of the synopsis. And then I'm going to read the first chapter and then determine from the first chapter which book I want to be my first Chevy Stevens book. So the first one we have is Still Missing, and I'm just going through these in publication order. I figured that's a good place to start. So this one says, remember, just the very top, on the day she was abducted, Annie O'Sullivan, a 32-year-old realtor, had 3 goals: sell a house, forget about a recent argument with her mother, and be on time for dinner with her ever-patient boyfriend. That's all I want to know. Sounds really good. Next up is Never Knowing, obviously, by Chevy Stevens. And this one says, I'll just read this top little blue thing. It says, from the acclaimed author of Still Missing comes a psychological thriller about one woman's search into her past and the deadly truth she uncovers. Okay. Next is Always Watching. She helps people put their demons to rest, but she has a few of her own. In the lockdown ward of a psychiatric hospital, Dr. Nadine 𝒕𝒊𝒏𝒌𝒔 is in her element. She has the tools to help people, and she has the desire. Healing broken families is what she lives for, but Nadine doesn't want to look too closely at her own past because there are whole chunks of her life that are black holes. That night, oh, it would be on the back, obviously, not in the front cover. As a teenager, Toni Murphy had a life full of typical adolescent complications: a boyfriend she adored, a younger sister she couldn't relate to, a strained relationship with her parents, and classmates who seemed hell-bent on making her life miserable. Next up, and this is the one that was recommended, like this title. So this is Those Girls. And this one says, life has never been easy for the 3 Campbell sisters. Jess, Courtney, and Danny live on a remote ranch in Western Canada where they work hard and try to stay out of the way of their father's temper. One night, a fight gets out of hand and the sisters are forced to go on the run. Oh, and the author, Chevy Stevens, grew up on a ranch on Vancouver Island and still lives on the island with her husband and her daughter. And the last one that I have is this one, Never Let You Go. And this is like a large print edition. It's the only thing that my library had. And it says, 11 years ago, Lindsay Nash escaped with her young daughter and left an abusive relationship. Her ex-husband Andrew was sent to jail and Lindsay started a new life. Ooh, kind of reminds me of Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. So those are the books that I'm going to be trying a chapter of, and I'll try to remind you of the synopsis as we go, or I'll basically just tell you like what the first chapter is about, and then maybe I'll tell you which one I'm the most excited about. So I hope you're excited that I'm finally trying some Chevy Stevens. All right, great news, friends. I have started reading the Chevy Stevens books, and I've read the first chapter of 4 of them. I have a couple left to go, but I thought I would just like fill you in on my thoughts on all of them. So the first one, her debut, Still Missing, is a debut about a woman named Annie. She's a realtor that gets abducted. So in the first chapter, it actually says session 1 instead of chapter 1. And it's 15 pages long. The first chapter is 15 pages, and the setting is Vancouver Island, where the author lives, and it's actually a town called Clayton Falls on Vancouver Island where the story takes place. Annie is basically talking to a shrink in her session, and she is describing her abduction, and I'm sure it's just gonna like go from there. So she's showing this house. There's an open house, and the very last person that shows up to that open house is the person that abducts her. No idea why, but yeah, it's just so scary because the person was so charming, and that's why she was leaving for the day. She was actually packing up. This person pulled in and said, "Oh my gosh, I just missed you, oh my gosh." And she's like, "Oh no, like I'll show you the house," because she was like noticing how they were dressed, and that was like, I was just like, oh no, don't fall for it. But yeah, so how they were dressed, they had on like really nice clothes, and she thought, oh my goodness, they will definitely be able to afford this house. And she starts touring them around the house, and sure enough, they abduct her. So I was really interested to continue in this. Yeah, I definitely want to see where it goes. So that was the first chapter of that one. Second one is Never Knowing, and this is about a woman confronting her past, always wondering about her birth parents because she is adopted. And I guess in her family, she was adopted, and then the people that adopted her had 2 children of their very own. And of course, she was treated very differently than their biological kids. So she always sought out her own like parents. At the beginning of the novel, obviously she's an adult now and stuff like that, but she is searching for her mother, and she comes across this woman. This also starts with session 1, and the first chapter is 19 pages long, so a little bit longer. And I thought it was very interesting because the psychiatrist in this book that the main character, what was her name again? Annie, is talking to about her abductions, name is Nadine. And then the person in here is also talking to Nadine in a session, a psychiatrist session. So I thought that was very interesting. Although the main characters of the story are different, they're both talking to the same psychiatrist. And I was like, interesting. I think she finds her mother, and when she confronts her, the lady is acting very fishy and like won't answer her questions. So again, I'm very interested in this one as well. In the third book, Always Watching, the main character is Nadine, the psychiatrist from the first 2 books. So while she was the psychiatrist and there were other main characters, Nadine is the main character of this story, helping another patient at this hospital, this psychiatric hospital. So some things that I know about the patient that she is helping, the patient had a miscarriage, and of course that like depressed her and upset her and all of that. And she was on antidepressants, but when she got married, she stopped taking her medication. And Nadine was saying that's pretty common. And she tried to kill herself after her miscarriage. And then she kind of is saying weird things to Nadine, and then Nadine also is talking to her patient's husband. And they mention this really weird center where they used to live. It's called the River of Life Spiritual Center, and it's known as a commune by the members of the center, and it's run by a man named Aaron Quinn, and Nadine knows exactly who that is. So it almost feels like it's going to have like cult vibes in it. So I'm very interested to see where it goes. So the fourth book, That Night, tells a story about Tony. She was an adolescent. She had the typical teenage life going. And then one summer night, her sister was brutally murdered. And then Tony and her boyfriend, Ryan, were convicted of the murder and both put behind bars, even though they didn't do it. But they were the only ones there the night that her sister died. So that's just, I don't know. I don't understand how that's possible. But anyway, she is being released, and she like is, on parole and stuff like that. And she's having to go to this kind of like halfway house to get back on her feet and stuff like that. It was very short. The first chapter was only 4 pages. But I think it's just going to be like her struggling to adjust. Also, I think her boyfriend probably gets released around the same time, and he's wanting to find out like who really was at fault for killing her sister. And I just think it's going to be about that. So she's now 34, and it opens on her release date from prison. And she's been in custody since she was 18 years old. So half of her life behind bars for a crime she didn't commit. I wasn't immediately drawn into this book by the first chapter, but it was a depart. I didn't see anything about Nadine mentioned. So I'm wondering if the first 3 books kind of, have the same psychiatrist, and then this one is a departure, or if it just comes later on, because like I said, the first chapter was only 4 pages. Okay, I read the other 2 books, and guys, I think I'm really gonna like this author. So the next one that I tried was Those Girls, which is the one that you guys said to read. It doesn't really say much in the very first chapter. It tells the story of these 3 sisters as they are, I don't know if I would say like on the run per se, but they're driving. You're not really sure why. You're getting to know them a little bit, like kind of their interactions with each other, and you know that they're not just like on this fun holiday trip because they've like stolen a map. They're talking about like how much money they have because they're running out of gas and they need money to get gas, how they siphoned gas to start with. And they stop at this gas station and do this little ploy to steal gas. So the first chapter in this book was only 7 pages long, and it dropped with a bomb at the very end of the chapter that literally had my jaw gaping open. OMG, I definitely want to read more. So yeah, very interested in this one. And the very last book that Chevy Stevens currently has published right now, like I said, they have a new release coming out in August. The last one that I read was Never Let You Go, and I didn't count the pages on this because like I said, I got the large font. That's the only copy that my library had. So yeah, so I got the large font, which was interesting to read, but nonetheless, super intriguing. All right, so in this one, just like with the previous one, the author had a little note at the beginning that said that Lions Lake and Dogwood Bay are fictional places. However, all the other places mentioned are actually real. And in chapter 1, it's from Lindsay's perspective, and it's set in November 2015. And the basic storyline is that 11 years ago, Lindsay and her young daughter escape her abusive husband, and her ex-husband is sent to jail, and she has started a new life, and I think her husband's getting out of jail, and he probably comes after her with a title like Never Let You Go. So it does remind me of that Julia Roberts movie. I can't think of the title, but on the Rex by the Bottle live show, I made Jessie look it up. So Jessie looked it up. Sleeping with the Enemy, is that what it's called? It kind of reminded me of that, except for like in this one, she obviously has a child, but it seems like her husband is really like controlling and a jealous type, even though like he literally doesn't have anything to be jealous of. It sounds like he's emotionally abusive, possibly physically abusive, like, although I didn't see that in the first chapter. So anyway, I don't know how long the first chapter was. But in this one, you definitely get a sense that that Lindsay is not having a good time in her marriage, and something happened between them, and as in order to like make it up to her, he gave her an early Christmas present and took the family to this resort in Mexico. It's where they had their honeymoon, and you can just tell as she's getting ready that something is not right. So anyway, she goes out there, and the person comes to take their lunch order, and as she's going to like grab something like a drink, I think they were getting drinks first and then later on they get lunch, but anyway, he touches her hand, and the husband is pissed and saying like, oh, you know, you liked that. And so she's like, what are you talking about? Like, he brushed my hands, like no big deal. But anyway, so then they order lunch, and she goes off to the bathroom to wash her hands. When she starts walking back, now imagine how long that took to go wash her hands. Then you go back there, you know, at the beach or whatever, and she sees that her husband's food's gone. Her daughter's food's like half eaten. The daughter's float, like this dolphin float thing, is gone, and they're gone. So she walks up, and she's like, what the heck? Where are they? What happened? And she looks out into the water, and she sees the float. So then she's like, okay. So she wades out there, doesn't see anything, starts getting really frantic. Like people from the resort like are like, what's going on? And she's like, my daughter's missing. And They start looking, like they're on jet skis, like looking for them. People, like other people at the resort and on the beach and stuff like that, help her start looking, and she's just frantic and she's freaking out. And then after all this commotion, her husband and her daughter start walking like up the beach, and she's like, oh my God, there's my daughter. And like she runs to her and she's like, oh my gosh. And they were like, oh, we just went to go get something to drink. And you know that this mofo did this on purpose, because it says, he left us alone. The crowd was dispersing, but I could feel their judgment. The whispers, I didn't care. I had Sophie. She was solid and real and standing in front of me. I was so scared, I told her. I saw your dolphin in the water. Daddy and I were playing and it floated away. He said we could get it later. Andrew was staring out at the water. I tried to read his expression, but he was wearing sunglasses. How angry was he that I'd made a fuss? It just kept floating away, he said. Thought we might never see it again. Then he grabbed Sophie's hand. Come on, let's get out of the sun. How he said, thought we might never see it again, was kind of telling her that, like, look how easy that was for me to walk away with our daughter. Don't screw with me, bitch, because I will take our daughter. Like, I was just livid about it. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. So overall, I am interested in every single one of these. There's definitely some that the first chapters were a little bit stronger than the other ones. Like this one, I wasn't really interested until that very final line, but that final line definitely hooked me to continue reading it. I mean, this one, I'm obviously like, I really want to read it. That night, yeah, the first chapter wasn't strong in this one, but it was only like 4 pages. This one I was really interested in. Oh, these 3 I was really interested in because I'm interested if they're kind of like connected in some way. I am so excited about every single one of these. I love the writing. I love the characters. I love the description. It's like enough description that you can actually picture what's going on, but not too descriptive that you're just like, get on with it. That type of thing. So I'm really, really excited that you guys recommended this author to all 3 of us. I'm really, really excited that I'm gonna have a new author to binge a bunch of books. I'm so excited, you guys. But yeah, that was my 𝒕𝒊𝒏𝒅 tag. It was very, very successful because I'm just intrigued by like literally all of them. So yeah, my plan is to read all of these books at some point, and maybe I'll do like a week of reading Chevy Stevens, or maybe I'll just do reading vlogs. I haven't decided yet. So let me know down in the comment section down below how you would like me to tackle that. I am definitely going to do a solo reading vlog for one of the novels, and then after that, let me know if you want to see like a week of reading Chevy Stevens, or every single book do a reading vlog. Let me know because I'm so excited. Yeah, anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again soon.